Vidhammer Fantasy.
Welcome back. I'm Spudlow, bringing you your Vidhammer news for November the 11th of 2013. First up for this week is Crucible 3. I have registered. I am officially going, bringing the Skaven army. It's going to be 2,500 points. This is in Orlando in February. This is a 3-day event, although the Warhammer Fantasy tournament part of it is only going to be 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. 5 games. Should be a lot of fun. Going to be a lot of other people there. There's going to be a couple of Warriors of Chaos. And then there's a Tomb Kings. I think I'm the only Skaven person signed up so far. 1 High Elf and 1 Dark Elf as well, if I remember correctly. Not entirely sure about that, but I don't know. It's going to be fun no matter what. And I get some games to record for you guys to watch it too. So, one that's coming up in the immediate future, I'm going to do our weekly game tomorrow. Me and Patrick are going to play 2,500 points. I'm going to do Skaven as well, and I think I'm going to be bringing this little bad boy. I said I was going to be doing the Screaming Bell in the next game that I played, so I'm going to put together a listing for that. And hopefully it will go well. I haven't used the Screaming Bell before. Well, I'll give it a shot. Let you guys know what I think. Another thing that I was going to talk about this week was magnets. The magnets that you've seen me using in some of the hobbying videos that I've done. And I wanted to give you guys a full rundown on the magnets that I use and how I use them and everything. In particular, how I use them on the most recent Warp Lightning cannons that I had done. And in setting up for this lovely video shoot, and I had that light set up here on top of this. Just as I was sitting down to turn the camera on, it snapped off and smashed one of the Warp Lightning cannons that I had been working on. So, we'll showcase the other Warp Lightning cannon, this guy. This wasn't the one that I actually painted on the video, but it's very close. And the thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, as I get a little closer here, was the crewmen that I'd been painting. And the ones that I did down on the bottom here, I actually went ahead and magnetized them. So it would be an easy way to track the wounds. When the cannon takes wounds, a lot of people will put little rings or use a die as a mark or something like that. It's nice to be able to pull things off to indicate that. And, you know, the crewmen, since it has 3 wounds and it has 3 crewmen on it. If you can pull the crewmen off of it, that would be awesome. The guy on top, of course, is glued there because he's not coming off. You're always going to have 1 wound. As soon as the last wound's gone, you're going to remove him anyway. So I took these 2 guys and drilled out their feet and put magnets on the base of the plank that they're sitting on. So I can remove 2 of the 3 crewmen. With ease. There it is. So I wanted to go over the magnets that I use to do this. It's nice that this cannon actually is still able to go up and down. This one, when I repair it, will be stationary because it's snapped off right at the freaking bases. Maybe I can use magnets to support it. I don't know. But in the end, that's what it looks like. That's the plank that actually had the 2 locations on it. 1 for his foot, and 1 for the bottom of his little looking device. I don't know, whatever you want to call that thing. Doot, doot. He sits on there just like that, very simply. I hollow that out with a hobby knife, and I push some green stuff in there when I smash the magnet down on top of it, and then clear off the leftover green stuff that's around it. And the green stuff that I use for this is actually this stuff. Not the liquid green stuff or the putty that you buy that's already green. This is the binary stuff that you have to take the yellow and the blue side and smash them together, and it takes a while to get it to work out right. But once you get it down to where, you know, you've got the little green piece of snot or whatever, and you smash it into one of those holes, that stuff is going to hold on for dear life. There's no way that stuff is coming off. I use that on the Screaming Bell, since I have the Screaming Bell and the Plague Furnace that I can switch out. But the Screaming Bell has two very thin little attachments where I can actually put a magnet on it. And when I just tried using regular glue, hobby glue, or even, Gorilla Glue, the strong stuff, even super glue, it's not stronger than the magnet is. So when you put it on here and you try to take it off a few times, after like the third or fourth time, the magnet just stays in here and it shears right off at this little bitty tiny spot because there's not enough to hold on to it. Grab the green stuff, wrap it around there, smush it on there. Now you've made a little collar for that thing to sit into. It ain't coming out now. That sucker's on there for life. The magnets that I use are not the ones that a lot of people normally use. People normally use ones that are about this size. I don't know if you can really catch that on the camera. The 4 gram, there's my nail next to it. These are 5 millimeters by 2 millimeters. And a lot of people use these for their basing. They're pretty popular. I look for all of my magnets and stuff on eBay, and these are far more expensive. 20 of these costs about $7 after tax once you've had it delivered. Paying for the shipping and everything. If you can get 20 of them for $6 or $7, it's probably pretty average. The ones that I use are significantly smaller. As you can, that's going to work out great. Cooperate, you little bastards. Okay. Polarity side, yeah, and you don't like each other now. Fine. The ones that I use are these smaller ones over here, as the glint off the light catches. These are 3 millimeter by 1 millimeter, 3 millimeters wide and 1 millimeter thick. I use these almost exclusively for everything that I do now. Because of the small size, you can use it in a lot of hobbying stuff a lot easier. The big ones, you're not going to be able to hollow out a model's foot or the bottom of its cane or something and actually be able to attach one. They're way too big. These, not so. You can throw these underneath the bottom of a model and even have enough space to hollow out a couple of holes so that when you put this on something, it will be aligned right. If you just have one in the center, it's going to get spun. It's going to look all different directions. If you have 2 of them, it's going to lock its orientation in. Either you're going to face this way or face the opposite way. But once you've got it set, it's not going to alter the way it's looking, which I find a lot more appealing in the stuff that I do. You can still use these for basing. You simply take 2 of them instead of 1 and glue that to the bottom of your base. So you're still going to be 2 millimeters thick, which is ideal for your basing stuff. Some people use ones that are a slight bit bigger. I've actually got the top one on that stack is actually a little bit fatter, and that's a standard size that a lot of people use. It's the 3/8 inch or something. I don't know. It's the standard size instead of the metric size that's popular for these things. In my opinion, they're a little too thick because if you put them under a standard sized base like this one, they're actually going to stick out a little bit. So when it clamps down on something, on your piece of metal, your piece of tin or whatever, it's going to ride up. It's like, I don't like that. These are a good size. They're a good width. That's what she said. They'll be just a little bit away from having contact with your metal. So when you place this down, it's the base itself that's actually going to make contact with the surface. Then the magnet is just going to hold it there. But if you use 2 of them, 2 of these little tiny ones, you can put them on the bottom just as easily, and it holds together just fine, except for the model that I just snapped the arm off of. That's nice. I'm on fire today. This is awesome. But you will hold to your model just as well as any other. I mean, it takes a lot to get that guy to actually come off there. And in my opinion, it doesn't take too much. The thicker magnets, when you put them on there, it takes so much to get them off, you run the risk of, when you grab your model, breaking off its weapon or its head because you have to try so hard to get the darn thing off there. So, in my opinion, go for the small ones, 3 millimeter by 1 millimeter. Use 2 of them to do your basing. And cost-wise, that's what we wanted to do. These guys, $6 or $7 for 20 of them shipped to you. These things, 100 of them, you can get shipped to you for about $5. And sometimes even less. Most of them, you get them like from the Hong Kong, and just tell them to take as long as they want on their shipping, and have a heyday. You'll see it in 3 weeks, and you'll pay like $2. They'll send it to you in, one of these little baggy things. You'll get one of those in a couple of weeks. And since you're only paying $3 for it, hey, heck with it. Take as long as you want. It doesn't matter, as long as I get them eventually. And when you get them, you'll get 100 of the darn things. You will find lots of other uses for them, such as when I put together Monsieur Storm Raven. It wasn't until after I put it together, and then this cockpit cracked and came off like the first time, and I said, okay, I'm not going to have that. And since I spent enough time trying to make the cockpit look nice on the inside, I wanted to make it to where you could check the thing out anyway. So I just drilled out a couple of holes and put 3 magnets in there. I don't know if that's focused for you or not. Yeah, looks pretty good. 3 magnets in there, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom. And removable cockpit now. So you can check out the cockpit and do all that good stuff. Likewise, do the same thing with your cannon, so you can change your loadout of your weapons whenever you want to. Just 1 magnet on the weapon, 1 magnet to where it's actually connecting to, and there you go. I want to do the same thing with the doors on the side, so I can actually put storm bolters on there, or hurricane bolters, excuse me. Or just put the flat door on there, either one. So, you will find lots of fun little uses for that 3mm by 1mm size. Enjoy them, have fun, send me some pictures of some of the stuff that you guys do. Other stuff with magnets. A common thing that I do, especially with Skaven, since they tend to die in huge droves, I'm shying away from this now for a reason which I will explain later, but not completely away from it, only to a small degree. Since you usually die in large numbers, you want to take away 15 or 20 models at the same time. Rather than going through and removing each individual one, which you're going to have to if they're magnetized, you're going to have to pull the little frickers off there. Especially with my slaves, I take 5 of them, I glue them together, and I put a flat magnet piece on the bottom of that. These magnets aren't the best because there aren't, it's not a true metallic piece. It's mixed in with a few other things, and they're not always the most reliable, especially for temperature. The last tournament I was at, I was trying to show off how I had actually done my models with, the magnetized bases and everything, and I turned one of my units over, and it had been in the car in the Florida heat, about 95 degrees, and half of them fell off and smashed on the ground. I was like, yeah, that's nice. Makes you reconsider things. And it helps you tear their arms off, too. Like I said, I'm on fire. I go with 5 wide blocks for my slaves, because my slaves I'm always going to run in bus formation. There's no point in running them in a horde formation. It's just silly. You're not looking to do damage, you're looking to stop as much damage. So you want to present the smallest amount of frontage as possible so that your enemy can't do that many attacks to you. That's their entire point. It's just to get in the way for as long as possible. But other units such as my Plague Monks, since sometimes they'll be 5 wide, sometimes they'll be 10 wide, you have to have the ability to put the Plague Furnace in there or take the Plague Furnace out. So if you have a whole bunch of 5 wide blocks, it's not going to work out. So I go through making, a few individuals, because you got to be able to take casualties off and make change at the end. And then after that, you start working your way into larger blocks, like a block of 4 in a square formation like that. Or a block of 2, and in some cases, larger blocks like a block of 6, like that guy right there. So you'll intermix these things in with all your guys and throw them on the ground, because that's the funnest part. And then take off which ones you need, and you still have the ability to move them around and make a unit that would be 5 wide, or even 5 wide with the Plague Furnace in the center, because you can put a rack of 2 wide guys on one side and then a single guy on the other side. So I went for that collection of some blocks of 6, some blocks of 4s, some blocks of 2s, and then a bunch of singles and stuff like that. Because it gave me the best versatility for putting Plague Furnace, or did the same thing with my Storm Vermin, because I might want to put a Screaming Bell in with them and still have them run 5 wide or run 10 wide or who knows what else. So I did the same type of orientation where I had chunks of 6 and 4s and 2s and stuff like that. So that's how I run these guys. I'm still using the magnetic plate base, but I might be changing that since this piece of magnetic material is just glued to a plastic piece, which is cut to be exactly the size that's needed. I could very easily drill holes in the bottom of that plastic piece and sink a few of these 1mm magnets in there, and it would be just as fine. So if I ever get the time to go back and actually do these things, redo them, I'll probably do that, but that's for a lot later. That's about it for this week. Thanks for tuning in and everything. Feel free to leave comments and stuff for any opinions you have on the stuff that I do, the things that are silly. And if you want me to break some more stuff next week, I'd be more than happy to, because I'm probably going to end up doing it anyway. Till next time, this is Spudlow saying, keep breaking shit.